Hello everyone, my name is Belle and I'm so excited for this today's topic because 20th Century Studios just released a new trailer for its upcoming movie called A Haunting in Venice, starring Kenneth Branagh as Hercule. Now, this particular movie is actually based on Agatha Christie's novel called Halloween Party. And I don't remember ever reading this story, and I haven't seen this on a DVD as well. And I have an entire Hercule Poirot DVD collection here. I haven't. So, what are we gonna do today is that we are going to reveal some Agatha Christie's secrets through the magic book. Because I have Agatha Christie's complete secret notebooks, and last night I actually found this Halloween Party story, but then again I did not read it because I'm waiting for this opportunity to be able to read this with you. I have here her complete secret notebooks, and I browsed through this last night, but I didn't read it, promise. Which page is that? Yeah, there you go. Halloween Party 641. Okay. So it says here the date is November 10, 1969. A bobbing for apples game goes horribly wrong at Rowena Drake's teenage party. One of the guests, Mrs. Oliver, approaches her friend, Hercule Poirot, who subsequently visits Woodleigh Common and in the course of his investigation uncovers a long-forgotten crime as well as the killer at the Halloween party. Ooh. So the notes here says, for Halloween Party provide the clearest example in the whole of the notebooks of a definite starting and finishing date. The first page of notes in Notebook 16 is headed January 1st, 1969, and 45 pages later we read July 7th, Halloween Party completed. So, Agatha Christie completed this story, Halloween Party, on July 7th. Chapter 1 to 21, including ending page 280, to be sent or taken to Hughes Maisie, it says HM. 3 or 4 chapters to go to Mrs. Jolly, her typist. On dictaphone, rolls 1 to 9, continue corrections and revisions in them commencing page 281 and sent on to HM. Agatha Christie has her own typist. I wish I could also have my own typist. Maybe someday. Agatha Christie was now 78, and although 6 months for a full-length novel is impressive, it is a long way from the 1930s and 1940s when she finished 2 or 3 novels a year. It is entirely possible that the idea for this novel was hatched during a visit to America. Halloween was a bigger holiday in late 1966 when she accompanied Sir Max Mallowan on a lecture tour. So Agatha Christie went to the United States in the late 1966. Although she toyed with the idea of an 11 plus rather than a Halloween party for young teenagers, the basic plot device was set from the beginning. Yet again, Mrs. Oliver appears as she does in 4 of the final dozen titles that Christie wrote. Also making a reappearance is the policeman Spence from Mrs. McGinty's Dead and Taken at the Flood, and he was to appear again 3 years later in Elephants Can Remember. I think I may have read Elephants Can Remember already. I remember that. I remember the story. Themes, ideas, and plots from earlier titles abound. There are strong echoes throughout of Dead Man's Folly. In both, we have a child murdered during a game witnesses to an earlier murder presenting a danger to a hitherto safe killer, and the creation of a thing of beauty as a grave, a folly in one novel and a garden in the other. As will be seen, a short story from 35 years earlier, How Does Your Garden Grow?, was also in her mind. Dead Man's Folly, Mrs. McGinty's Dead, and The Labors of Hercules are specifically mentioned in chapter 4, 5, and 11, respectively. The inspiration for the radio play Butter in a Lordly Dish is referred to in chapter 11. Miss Bulstrode from Cut Among the Pigeons is recalled in chapter 10, and a brief allusion towards the end of chapter 16 may have provided the basis for 1971's Nemesis. Mrs. Drake's Looking Over the Staircase, chapter 10, has distinct similarities to Marina Gregg's In the Mirror Cracked from Side to Side, and the opening line of chapter 17 is almost identical to that in The Case of the Perfect Maid. Like many of the late titles, both the notes for Halloween Party and the book itself are diffused and unfocused. Alongside new ideas are some from earlier titles, but the many meandering conversations do not coalesce into a coherent and ingenious detective novel. Compare the setup with similar titles from earlier decades: Dumb Witness, Taken at the Flood, and Mrs. McGinty's Dead, where Poirot arrives in a small town to investigate a suspicious death. And we can appreciate the decline in the quality of the books from Endless Nights onwards. Apart from Passenger to Frankfurt, all of the titles after 1967 are journeys into the past, each one weaker than the previous, although are all predicated on a compelling basic idea. Apart from name changes, the following extracts outline the basic situation that sets the plot in motion. Although it has to be asked why Miranda does not admit earlier that she, and not Joyce, was the original witness, and the later revelation of her parenthood beggars belief. So at the end of the notes, it says, this is in fact the plot she adopted, although why Mrs. Llewellyn Smythe should have written a codicil and then hidden it is never fully explained in the novel. And is it at all likely that 11-year-old Leopold should blackmail a double murderer? The influence of the short story How Does Your Garden Grow can be seen in the extract below. Both feature an elderly lady ignoring her family to leave her fortune to a foreign companion and the subsequent scapegoating of that legatee. The shells is a reference to the plot of the earlier story where Strychnine, I don't know how to pronounce this, is concealed in an oyster and the shells later hidden in plain sight as a decoration in the garden. What did Joyce see? Mary Drake comes out from backdoor shells, sticks them by path. So, pretty interesting, huh? I have been a fan of Agatha Christie ever since I could remember. When it comes to Kenneth Branagh being Hercule Poirot, I have no comments about that. I'm still a fan of David Suchet because David Suchet to me is Hercule Poirot. But Kenneth Branagh, I think, did a good job as Hercule Poirot. Why not? Anyway, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for being here in my channel. Please don't forget to check out all of my books. I have written quite few novels and they are all available in my official website. There is a link in this channel. Thank you again so much, you guys. Bye-bye.